In this video we are going to study a very instructive master game in which we will see how black will use the Sicilian Dragon. White started the game with the move e4. Black responded with c5, entering the Sicilian defense. Black advances with a side pawn and takes control of the d4 square. So, if white plays d4 to occupy the center with his pawns, then black will be able to capture on d4. White played knight f3, developing his king's knight and taking control of the d4 square. His plan is to advance with d4 to occupy the center with his pawns and, if black captures on d4, then be able to recapture with the knight. Black played d6, taking control of the e5 square. The idea is to continue with knight f6, to attack the e4 pawn without allowing it to advance. White played d4, occupying the center with his pawns. Black responded c takes d4, eliminating the opponent's central pawn and exchanging it for his side pawn. So black is left with a central majority of pawns. After knight takes d4, black played knight f6, developing the king's knight and threatening to capture the e4 pawn. White played knight c3, developing the queen's knight and defending the e4 pawn. Black played g6, entering the dragon variation. Now, white played bishop e3. The plan is to continue with queen d2, and then castle on the queen side. Black played bishop g7, developing the king's bishop through the fianchetto and preparing to castle. Now, black is indeed threatening knight g4, to attack the bishop on e3. White played f3, taking control over the g4 square, to prevent the black pieces from making use of that square, and at the same time reinforcing the defense of the e4 pawn. Now, black played knight c6, developing the queen's knight and attacking against the white knight on d4. White played queen d2, mobilizing his queen and preparing to castle on the queen side. Black castled. Now black threatens to advance with d5 to free his position. White played g4 to prevent black's d5 reaction. For example, if black now makes the move d5, white can respond with g5, to deflect black's knight from f6 and then capture on d5. White would have an advantage. Black played bishop e6, completing the development of his minor pieces, increasing control over the d5 square and aiming towards the queen side. If now white captures the bishop on e6. Black responds with f takes e6, and increases his control over the d5 square. At the same time, the f-file is now open and black will be able to attack against the f3 pawn, which is a backward pawn and is weak. White castled on the queen side. Black played knight e5, centralizing his knight, attacking against the f3 pawn and also aiming towards the c4 square. White played h4, advancing with his pawns on the king side, with the idea of attacking the enemy king. Now black played queen a5, developing his queen towards his best square. Black's plan is to continue with rook f to c8, with the idea of incorporating all the pieces into the attack on the queen side. If white now plays h5, to attack on the king side. Black can play knight takes f3, a typical piece sacrifice. The white queen is attacked and the e4 pawn is no longer defended. After knight takes f3, black plays knight takes e4, eliminating the opponent's central pawn and attacking the queen and the knight on c3. After knight takes e4. Black plays bishop takes b2 check. And after king takes b2. Black plays queen takes a2 check. Black is winning. King c1 is not possible because queen a1 is checkmate. And in case of king c3, black plays rook c8 check and the white king receives mate in a few moves. In the game, white played king b1, with the idea of reinforcing the defense of the a2 pawn. But now black's played knight takes f3, sacrificing the knight, attacking the white queen and leaving the e4 pawn unsupported. After knight takes f3, black played knight takes e4, eliminating the opponent's central pawn, attacking white's queen and threatening to capture the knight on c3. Now, it is not possible to capture the knight because black would play queen takes a2 check, and after king c1. Queen a1 is checkmate. In the game, after the move knight takes e4, white played queen d3 to defend his queen. Black played knight takes c3, eliminating the white knight, with the idea of leaving the white castling without defenders. The game continued. B takes c3. Black responded with bishop takes on c3 and white finally resigned. Since black threatens queen takes a2, which would lead to mate. For example, in case of queen b5, trying to exchange queens. Black plays queen takes a2 check. And after king c1. White tries to defend with his queen, but black can play queen a3 check. And after king b1. Queen a1 is checkmate. A very instructive game in which we have seen the Sicilian Dragon in action. In the following videos we will see more master games that are also very instructive. Subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos and be informed of new openings.